In this lesson, we'll be talking about adding two fractions with two different denominators. Take for instance 2 over 5 plus 1 over 3. Remember, when we add fractions with the same denominator, we can just add immediately the numerators 2 plus 1 divided by the common denominator. But in this case, the two fractions has to be rewritten in an equivalent form. And to do that, this is what we mean. It means the first fraction has to be multiplied. As you multiply the numerator and the denominator by a particular number, and you also multiply the second fraction by a number. You multiply this and multiply this. In most cases, you don't multiply with the same number. So how do you get the number that you're going to multiply this with and this other fraction, the second fraction with? You look for the LCM of the denominator. The LCM of 5 and 3 is 15. If you want to know how I got that the LCM of 5 and 3 to be 15, you may have to check or go over my video on how to find LCM, but I will explain briefly. The LCM of 5 and 3 is just 5 times 3. Alright, so how do you now know which? Are you going to multiply this by 15 and 15? No. 5, when 5 divide 15, you get 3. Alright, so you multiply 5 by 3. This fraction you multiply by 3. Since you know 5 times 3 will give you 15. Okay, then for the second fraction you divide 15 by 3. Alright, which gives us 5. So you multiply the second fraction by 5, both the numerator and the denominator. Alright, so 2 times 3 over 5 times 3 plus 1 times 5 over 3 times 5. Alright, so 2 times 3 gives us 6 over 15 plus 1 times 5 gives us 5 over 15. You can now see both have a common denominator, so you can add it up immediately. The reason why we multiply the numerator by the same number that we used to multiply the denominator is so that we can arrive at an equivalent fraction. And it is only when we arrive at an equivalent fraction like this that we can now have a common denominator for both fractions. Alright, so we move on. We add the numerators immediately. 6 plus 5. Now we can now divide with a common denominator. Alright, which gives us 6 plus 5. That is 11 over 15. Alright, let's check out another example. Let's look at 5 over 6 plus 2 over 9. Alright, how do we go about this? You look for the LCM of 6 and 9. Okay, the common factor that forms 6 6 is the product of 2 times 3. While 9 is the product of 3 times 3. Alright, is a recap. We're doing a recap on finding the LCM. So for these, 2 is common. We already have 2. 2 is the highest number that we have, the highest factor that we have yet is the only factor 2, so we have 2. But 3 times 3, that is in bracket 3 raised to power 2, while this one is more or less like 3 raised to power 1, which means 3. So 3 raised to power 2 is the highest, so we have times 3 raised to power 2. Alright, so 2 times 3 raised to power 2. We know 3 raised to power 2 is 3 times 3. Alright, so 2 times 3 gives us 6, and 6 times 3 gives us 18. So 18 is the LCM. LCM of 6 and 9 is 18. So how then do we know which number, how do we sort out the number that we're going to use to multiply this fraction over here and the second fraction? It is simple. You just divide the LCM by the denominator. 18 divided by 6 gives us 3. So you multiply by 3, and you will find out to check when you multiply that number by the denominator and it gives you that LCM, then you know you are using the right number. So you multiply by 3. Then for the second fraction, you divide the LCM by that number. So 18 divided by 9 gives us 2. So you multiply by 2. Okay, you can see 9 times 2 gives us 18. Alright, so that's a check. So 5 times 3 gives us 15 over 6 times 3, which gives us 18, plus 2 times 2 gives us 4, to be divided by 9 times 2, which is 18. You can see we now have a common fraction, a common denominator, sorry. So now we can add up 15 plus 4 to be divided by the common denominator 18. Alright, which gives us 15 plus 4, that is 19 over 18. Alright, which we can now finish up by 18 in 19. We have one whole number remaining 1, which is 1 over 18. Alright, so that's how to add up. Let's try another example to learn more of the skills of adding two fractions with different denominator. Alright, let's check this out. 2 over 9 plus 1 over 3. Alright, what can be the LCM of 9 and 3? Alright, the LCM of 9 and 3 is 9. How do we go about that? 9 is a product of 3 times 3. Alright, and 3 is a product of maybe 3 times 1 or thereabout. Okay, so the highest common factor is 3 times 3, that is 3 raised to power 2, while this one is just 3 raised to power 1. We can say 1. So the highest is 3 raised to power 2, so 3 times 3. Alright, so 9, since 9 is the LCM, like I said, you can divide, or if 9 divide by 9 is 1. Alright, so if you multiply by 1, you still get it, so there's no need to do the multiplication to say 1 times 2 times 1 and 9 times 1. Still gonna get 2 over 9. Alright, so 1 over the other fraction, divide 9 by 3, which gives you 3. Alright, so you multiply by 3, then you multiply the denominator by 3. So we have 2 over 9 plus 1 times 3, that's 3. 3 times 3, that's 9. So you can see we have a common denominator. Alright, so now we can add up immediately. 2 plus 3 over 9 to be divided by the common denominator, which now equals 2 plus 3 gives us 5 over 9. So that's it. Just once you follow the basic principle as we have been looking at since in the three examples, just use that example and work out some basic examples in your textbook. Thank you for watching and God bless.